So, dudes, we're back a bit earlier than usual this time, and by a little bit earlier than usual, I mean not after fucking 5 months. Don't expect this to be a habit though, since that implies that I'm actually diligent about video uploading. But y'all don't give a shit about my upload schedule, you care more about the waifu we're gonna talk about today, which is mhxa. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme either, but if you want to call me Mike Shinoda, that's fine too. For the most part, Akemi Homura is a DPS berserker with great overall MP gen and star gen, and with a Lancer deck with good hit counts on top of that to complement them. But she has a few quirks that can give her an edge in the right situations, and no, they don't involve looting mhxa, she already suffers enough as it is. Her DPS comes from her second and third skills, Instant Shadowless Blade, which gives Yamada Maya a 3-turn 30% quick buff, and Sovereign's Invisible Hand, which gives a 3-turn 20% attack buff, like a standard Charisma. What do you mean your Charisma gives less than a 20% attack buff? Unlike her useless vanilla version, and ultimately this is the main reason why the dark side is better, along with having cookies, Oyodo has an Anti-saber super effective mod on her MP's overcharge, not an Anti-saber face mod. Basically, this is DW going, hey, sorry guys, we realized we fucked up MHX's gameplay design, so we're gonna make another saber face, who's basically MHX, but actually functions like she was supposed to, and make you roll gacha for her so that you give us more money for the mistake we made last year. Well, developer jokes aside, before Aniplex ends my whole fucking YouTube career, not that it was much of a career to begin with, this anti-saber effect therefore makes Kirishima a much more practical counter. What do I mean by more practical? Well, simply put, MHXA is a berserker, MHX isn't. The fact that she's a Zerk means that she automatically gets 50% bonus damage against almost every class in the game, on top of having her own skill buffs and anti-saber damage mod, which isn't something Artorias can say about herself. As such, Usami Sumireko is basically an alternative archer who gives up defensive class resist in exchange for even more anti-saber damage through her MP, with the added perk of still being pretty good against almost everyone else too. A good example of this being super useful is this year's New Christmas, the one where we get Superior Rinface as a new servant. The final Lotto node has you going up against Salter with over 410,000 HP. By this point, even single target archers are gonna have a tough time dealing with her if they don't have their own super effective mod, so Alma with her anti-saber mod can outperform them, provided you can also give her enough buffs, of course. But Seal has other quirks that she can work with, the first of which is her third skill, SIH. It reduces one ally's star weight by 100% for one turn on top of having its charisma effect. The star weight reduction effect is a bit complicated, so I'll go in depth with this as best I can. Essentially, SIH is a star control skill. When London uses it, it reduces that servant's star weight to 0 for one turn, assuming that they have no other star weight buffs active, thereby causing your crit stars in that turn to divert to other teammates' face cards. But like a lot of things about this fucking game, it's not that simple. There's a hidden star weight mechanic in this game that DW never tells you about, which is the fact that every turn, the game adds set values randomly to each of the 5 face cards that you draw. These values are +0, +0, +20, +20, and +50. The game doesn't physically tell you which cards get which values, but you can kind of tell which cards got which just by seeing where your stars go at the start of your turn. The game first calculates star weight for each of your servants with stuff like default class star weight and star weight buffs wherever applicable, and then adds these set values to your face cards last to calculate each face card's final star weight value. Because of this mechanic, if SIH is used on a servant who's got face cards on that turn, there's a chance that their cards will have those values added in, meaning that they still have some star weight to them. So if you're in a situation where you have some MHXA cards with a few other outside cards mixed in, and you use SIH on the servant whose cards you don't want stars to go to, if you're unlucky, a lot of your stars will just go straight back to those other cards anyway, because Berserker default star weight is a fucking bitch. And in case you're wondering, yes, this is the same reason why sometimes your waiver just randomly gets a ton of stars on 1 or 2 of his cards whenever you're farming with him. So it's for this reason that I'd recommend against trying to use SIH as a skill on Langley herself. Obviously, when you have a situation where you have a good chance of manipulating stars to MHX cards, then go for it, but in cases where that's probably not going to happen, use it as a support skill instead to enable someone else who isn't a berserker, emphasis on not a berserker, to be able to crit more reliably. Also, SIH is basically MHXA force choking the shit out of a teammate to make them let go of the stars that they pulled in. Let that sink in. Tying in with this is Chokai's second skill post-buff, ISB. Besides sounding like some kind of high-tech fucking USB port, it's both a quick buff and an instinct. Wait a minute. So yeah, the stars it produces synergizes pretty well with the third skill. Hachi's first skill though is a bit of a mixed bag. Post-buff, it's both a short sustain and burst crit skill. She gets 3-turn boosted healing first, then gets an initial heal of 2000 HP, which is actually 3000 because of the boosted healing that's applied first, and so increases that initial heal. She then gets a fixed HP regen for 3 turns that heals her for 1000 HP per turn, which again is actually 1500 HP thanks to the boosted healing effect. She then gets single 30% bonus crits for a Buster card, Arts card, and Quick card that also last for 3 turns. These single crits make it so that AS Val has a bit of extra burst damage in a situation where she's able to capitalize on her own Star Weight gimmick and Star Gen, but since the crit buffs are only for 1 card of each color and her third skill isn't exactly the same as a proper Star Weight buff, as we've discussed earlier, I'd say it's not really worth your time trying to make the most optimal use out of these crit buffs unless you don't need to go very far out of your way to put them to good use. Also, remember the times when before I'd referred to Zerkala and Raiko as the only 2 berserkers in the game with magic resist? Well, it turns out Futaba has the Ultra Reactor passive, which gives her 20% debuff resist, which is actually better than both of theirs. Maybe mhxa is what you get when Raiko and Lancelot have a kid, I don't know. Is that why she wears glasses just like MASH, because they're both cute as fuck? So with all this in mind, at her core, Sakamoto's girlfriend is a DPS berserker who specializes against sabers, with a few extra effects to give her or her team the edge if the situation is right. I mean, just with how her third ascension turns her into fucking Darth Maul if she's got plenty of edge as it is. Make sure she doesn't raid your snack cupboard in the middle of the night, keep her in her first ascension stage because she's the cutest that way, and keep her Ahoge safe, she's the only alter in the game to have one. Also, try telling MHX that mhxa is her sister and see how she reacts to it. And that's all you need to know about Fio Jeremy. Thanks for watching, and until next time, deuces.